At Netflix, behavioral interviews are critical. They assess how candidates handle real-world challenges, not just coding skills. Many candidates struggle to articulate compelling stories that highlight their impact. By the end of this video, you'll master the STAR method to craft narratives that showcase your abilities and significantly increase your chances of landing the job. Remember this. We'll see why mastering storytelling matters when we discuss quantifying impact later. The STAR method is a powerful tool, like a Swiss Army knife, that can help you tackle any behavioral interview question. Netflix conducts over 200 behavioral interviews per engineer annually. This is crucial because it helps ensure a strong engineering culture and identify candidates who can effectively collaborate and solve complex problems. Now, let's dive into the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a framework for structuring your answers to behavioral questions. Let's start with situation. This is about setting the scene. Where were you? Who were you working with? And what was the overall context? For example, I was a senior engineer on a team responsible for improving the performance of our recommendation engine. Next, the task. What was your specific objective or goal? Our task was to reduce the latency of the recommendation engine by 20% to improve user engagement. The key here is to provide enough context so the interviewer understands the stakes, but don't get lost in the weeds. Explain your role clearly. Were you the lead? A contributor? This is crucial for establishing ownership. What would happen if you failed? If we failed to reduce latency, users might abandon the platform, leading to a decrease in ad revenue. The situation and task components are crucial for setting the stage and providing context for your story. With the situation and task defined, let's move to the action and result, the gold standard of your story. The action describes the specific steps you took to address the task. Be detailed and focus on your personal contribution. Avoid using we when you mean I. For example, I analyzed the existing caching strategy and identified that our Redis cache was experiencing high eviction rates due to insufficient memory. The result is the direct outcome of your actions. Link the action directly to the result. As a result of increasing the Redis cache size by 50%, we reduced cache eviction rates by 30% and decreased the average latency of the recommendation engine by 15%. We use Redis because its in-memory data structure store provides low latency access, crucial for recommendation engines. Memcached was considered, but Redis persistence capabilities offered better resilience. I also implemented monitoring using Grafana to track cache hit rates and latency. The action should clearly demonstrate your skills and problem-solving abilities. Here's what most engineers get wrong. They don't clearly define the task and its importance. Now, here's the twist. Your interviewer will push back. Why Redis? Why not Memcached? Here's how you defend it. We chose Redis because its persistence capabilities allowed us to recover quickly from failures without losing cache data. Memcached, being a purely in-memory cache, would have required us to rebuild the cache from scratch, leading to longer recovery times. Consider trade-offs. What monitoring did you implement? What was your rollback strategy if things went wrong? For example, we implemented real-time monitoring of cache hit rates and latency using Grafana dashboards. Our rollback strategy involved reverting to the original cache size and alerting the on-call engineer. An experienced interviewer will probe. What happens at 10x scale? Here's the key. At 10x scale, Redis might become a bottleneck. We consider sharding the cache using consistent hashing to distribute the load across multiple nodes. Consistent hashing ensures that keys are consistently mapped to nodes, minimizing data movement during scaling. This is where most people go wrong. They don't anticipate these follow-up questions. We would use consistent hashing because it minimizes key redistribution when nodes are added or removed, unlike simpler hashing schemes. A potential failure scenario is a sudden spike in traffic exceeding Redis capacity, leading to cache misses and increased latency. Stop. Transitioning to impact. Let's talk about impact. This is where you quantify the broader effects of your actions on the team, the company, and the user. Don't just say improve performance. Give concrete numbers. For example, let's quantify the impact of the cache improvement. The 15% reduction in latency translated to a 5% increase in user engagement, measured by click-through rates on recommendations. This, in turn, led to a 2% increase in revenue for the recommendation-driven products. That's a 10x impact compared to the 15% latency reduction. Remember the 200-plus interviews we mentioned in the hook? This is where that matters. This shows how a seemingly small technical improvement can have a significant business impact. To further illustrate quantifying vague impact, use comparisons. What was the situation before and after your intervention? Before the cache optimization, we were losing approximately 10,000 users per day due to slow loading times. After the optimization, this number decreased to 2,000, saving us 8,000 users per day. This before and after comparison provides a clear and compelling picture of the impact of your actions. This technique helps translate technical improvements into tangible business benefits. Another method is to show the cost savings. Building on that, let's consider tailoring your stories to the role you're applying for. If you're applying for a leadership position, emphasize the team impact, highlighting how you mentored junior engineers or improved team collaboration. If you're applying for a technical role, focus on the technical details and the company impact, showcasing how your technical skills contributed to revenue growth or cost savings. By tailoring your stories, you demonstrate your understanding of the role's requirements and how your skills align with them. The STAR acronym breaks down into situation, task, action, and result. Having locked down tailoring, let's address failure. Every engineer faces setbacks. The key is how you handle them. This is where postmortems come in. A postmortem is a blameless analysis of a failed project or incident. The goal is to identify the root causes and extract actionable learnings to prevent similar issues in the future. For example, in a previous project, we experienced a major outage due to a misconfigured database connection pool. An analogy for this is a doctor performing an autopsy to understand why a patient died, not to blame anyone, but to learn how to prevent future deaths. Continuing the post-mortem discussion, we identified that the root cause was a lack of automated testing for infrastructure changes. As a result, we implemented a new CI/CD pipeline with automated integration tests to validate infrastructure configurations before deployment. This demonstrates the growth mindset and the ability to learn from mistakes. We chose a CI/CD pipeline because it automates the testing and deployment process, reducing the risk of human error. A blameless post-mortem culture encourages open communication and continuous improvement. Remember this. It comes back later. What was your rollback strategy if things went wrong? Your interviewer might ask, why not just manually test the changes? The answer is that manual testing is prone to human error and it doesn't scale well. The final step to mastery is practice. Rehearse your stories using the STAR method. Practice quantifying your impact. Anticipate interviewer pushback and prepare your defenses. Tailor your stories to the specific role you're applying for. By mastering these techniques, you'll significantly increase your chances of landing your dream tech job. Remember the 15% latency reduction we achieved? That's the kind of impact you want to highlight. To quantify vague impact, use comparisons. What was the situation before and after your intervention? Also, remember the 1 billion hours of content streamed weekly? That's the scale at which these improvements matter.